days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. It's Friday. More 49er news is here. We are pressing towards the weekend. We are pressing towards the rivalry game against the Seattle Seahawks. But yet, people are not done talking about the Green Bay game either. And there's people weighing in from all over the place. So we're going to get into this. We're going to get into the news from the team, some of the injuries and stuff like that, and then also just some comments that are being made.
Have to talk about these things. They revolve around the 49ers. It's stuff that's happening with this team, and it's stuff that the cutback room, the faithful, are talking about, right? This isn't just, nonsense being spewed out there. It's just people that have concerns or questions, some of it about quarterback play, and some of it about just the team and the scheme in general overall. So make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and that notification bell. That way you're notified for all the incredible content here on the Friday extravaganza of incredible just episodes and daily content. You got a lot of stuff. You got a lot of stuff today. But let's start with the DNPs, and let's start with the guys who didn't practice today and some injury updates and some of these guys and player status updates. So obviously, George Kittle was a DNP. Josh Norman was a DNP. Obviously, K'Wan Williams, DNP. We're expecting K'Wan to go on to IR, but they haven't made that move yet. I don't know if they're just waiting for something or waiting for that opportunity or just kind of seeing how he progresses this first week through the rest of this, right through Sunday and into Monday, Tuesday, and see how he's doing before they make that decision. But look, George Kittle, Kyle Shanahan had some comments on it. He talked a little about it. He said, he should be out all right this week, just sore today than we expected him to be. And that was coming into Thursday. We're just going to take it day by day now. So we're just going to kind of see how he goes today. If he gets another DNP today at practice and they're concerned, I imagine the update will be, it's not looking good. We expected him to be less sore now, and that's not the case. If you don't hear those comments, if you hear, we're just being careful with him, he's got a little bit better today, then I'd say he's probably questionable and on track to play Sunday.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan's going to be very clear with this as far as how he presents it to the media. John Lynch has weighed in a little bit on this, and he says that sometimes you have to protect George Kittle from George Kittle. But he did say that, this is something that he's working through, and because he plays so hard, these things happen. But he's okay, and that he thinks that, he would love to have him out there. He thinks he can be out there, but they need him out there. And he's very pivotal to this football team, and that's 100% accurate. A loss of George Kittle against Seattle would definitely damper my spirits, and it would be harder for this football team to win. I'm not saying they can't, because they've overcome a lot in the past. And the addition and the rise of some of these wide receivers would make you think they could overcome this. But getting George Kittle out there is important, because what he does on the edge as far as blocking, you want this run game to get going. So he is probably one of the most pivotal injuries that we're going to be talking about this week. We need him out there more than ever. Hopefully this is good. I'm going to keep holding out hope, because I think he's a guy that doesn't have to practice. He's a guy that can just go out there, understand the game plan, and then execute. So hopefully he's going to be good to go, and we're not going to have to worry about this, because I do want to see him versus Jamal Adams on.
I want to see him versus Jamal Adams. Yes, 100% yes. No questions asked. If that's the only thing I get out of Sunday, then I'll be happy. I'm just obviously. But look, the George Kittle situation is just concerning for 49ers fans, because it impacts your run game, it impacts your pass game. This isn't just a one area of the field in which there's an impact. It's felt throughout the entire offense, and the offense is already getting out to a slow start. It's been struggling. You don't want that. You want to avoid that. You want this man on the field. 49ers are going to protect George Kittle from himself, because George Kittle plays with reckless abandon. That's what he does. That's who he is. He's not going to change that about themselves. And if you're a 49ers fan who's like, well, if George Kittle could just learn to tone it down a little bit, he'd be fine. I don't want a toned down George Kittle. I want George Kittle turned up to an 11, whatting, first downing, right? And just losing his mind after a block. The smile on his face when he pancakes people is glorious. That's one of my favorite things, is watching this man take souls from people. So, George Kittle is going to do his thing. He's going to be George Kittle, and he needs to stay George Kittle. That's how this team continues to be the best version of itself, and he stays the best version of himself, is by being who he is, not trying to tone it back a little bit.
Yeah, if he tones it down, he might lose his edge. That's right now he plays with an edge, and that's what makes him special. That is that kind of that special ingredient that you have to be one of the best players in the NFL. And overall, that's what's got it done for him. So asking a guy like that to tone it down would completely change the dynamic of George Kittle that makes him so special. So you definitely don't want that. You want this guy out there playing with reckless abandon, playing, at the top of his game, and you're just hoping that he stays healthy along the way. Unfortunately, football players get hurt, and things come up all the time. Muscles and stuff are gonna feel sore. They're gonna feel bad. And the key is just as long as it can't get any worse, you go out there and you tough it out and play. If it's gonna get worse, you sit and you come back when you can. So if this was a situation where they felt George Kittle could be lost for a long period of time, they'll rest him the next 2 games, knowing that he could have 3 weeks off for the bye and come back against the Colts healthy. But I think since they're leaving it out there, there's an opportunity for him to play. I'm kind of expecting him to play. Last week, I wasn't expecting Elijah Mitchell to play, but I do think George Kittle will play this week.
Correct. Elijah Mitchell is a guy who got limited practice in again with that blue jersey today, that blue non-contact jersey, so he's doing better. Javon Kinlaw, another limited day, but this is par for the course for Javon Kinlaw.
Yes.
Even if he gets a limited practice today on Friday, I'm not too worried about it. He's been getting the limited practices throughout the week and then been playing just fine and being able to hold up just fine, especially with the rotation they got. And with Hurst coming back this week, that also helps as well because that rotation is a little bit deeper, even more guys you can go into there and move around. And then Josh Norman was seen again for the second straight day on a side field doing some sprints. He was also stretching out and doing a bunch of different stuff there. So really just testing his lung capacity. Can he hold it? There's no fluid buildup. You're not coughing up blood. You're not having any chest pains, shortness of breath, things of that nature. They got to test his body a little bit. I imagine tomorrow, I think the hope, if everything's going well, the hope tomorrow is that Josh Norman can get a limited practice session in, because a limited practice session bodes well for him being able to go on Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. You're hoping Josh Norman can go. I think Norman and Elijah Mitchell are 50-50. I think both of them are kind of on the fringe whether they're going to play or not, but that's an improvement for me last week from Elijah Mitchell because I thought it was about 40-60.
You did.
It didn't work out, and I think that he's trending in the right direction because he's out there and he's playing. He's no contact. I mean, that could just be them trying to protect him as long as possible. With Norman, it all comes down to passing tests. It's not because of want to. It's not because he doesn't want to be out there. Because he has to pass these tests, and if he doesn't pass, he's not going to be able to play football. So hopefully he gets out there and he's able to go. The good news is he's running and his lung capacity is able to handle it so far. We don't know what that capacity is exactly, but it's a good sign in the right direction. As far as Kinlaw, people just need to get used to it. I said maybe a couple weeks ago that I expected this to be the normal thing for Kinlaw for the entire season, where he's going to have limited practice, he's going to have practice days off, and they're going to manage his knee, and he's going to play on Sundays. So if you're getting, upset or worked up about the fact that he's still on the injury list, it's going to be a long season for you because you're going to be living in the ups and downs of Kinlaw not practicing because it's just what's going to happen. I don't think there's going to be times where this guy is 100% full go all week. That's just not how they're going to manage his knee this year. Maybe next year it'll change, but that is not the case this year. And I don't think it's really that the knee is that bad. The fact is they have tendonitis, and you know how it is with tendonitis. If you don't manage it, it can flare up. Once it flares up, it's a bear to deal with. But if you can keep it from flaring up and you find a schedule that works, you roll with it and you go with it, and then you can get the top level of participation you can get from Kinlaw. Just smart way to handle it. I have no problems with it, but I mean this is NFL football. People are going to miss practice. That's the way it goes. There has been guys, including D4 when he played for Kansas City, that didn't practice at all and then went out there and performed on Sunday. So this is not new. This is not something different. It's just more heightened and spotlight put on it because the media has more access than ever before.
That's right. I mean, we have access.
Yeah.
We know what's going on. And if we know what's going on and we're not media personnel, then yeah, you have more information and more in-depth look at the team than ever. And it's really hard to keep things under wraps. And that's what's so impressive about this 49ers organization as a whole is how little information gets out that they want out there in the public eye and in the public sphere. You tip your hat to that organization, keeping everything locked down and in-house.
No leaks.
I like that. I like no leaks. It needs to stay that way. And, I don't really care who it pisses off in 49ers media land. So long as, this team is continuing to have success and front office, coaching staff, and players are on the same page, I'll take the salt. I'll take the salt from other people.
I actually kind of enjoy it.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is kind of funny because, this is not something new, though. This was going on when Bill Walsh was here. I mean, I remember way back watching the old film and stuff of just Bill Walsh, despising the local media because of the way they operate. I mean, media and coaches have always had a little bit of disdain for each other. You don't find too many that they get along. Look at Belichick and all the winning he's done, and they still somewhat dislike him. So
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. I've never done anything but be brutally honest with the media here in New England, and I don't understand why people have a problem with it.
You're right. He's been nothing but brutally honest. So 100% agree with that. But I just think it is a love-hate relationship between personnel and the media. The one thing I will add, though, that I like about Kyle Shanahan's pressers that a lot of people don't like is I like this little snarky laugh that he does now. It just makes me laugh. I think it's funny. It's almost uncomfortable, but I enjoy it.
It's different. Yeah. It's different. Kyle Shanahan's having a good time. He knows what he's doing there. Look, for the Seahawks, too, there were some guys that were limited and some DNPs. Tyler Lockett on Thursday was a DNP. Rashad Penny, still a DNP. And Brandon Shell is a DNP. That's a little bit of a surprise there.
I like it.
We'll have to talk a little.
I don't like him being hurt, but I like he said.
I get what you're saying. You get that he's a DNP, and there's an opportunity for the 49ers D-line to take advantage of the O-line. I know where you're at with that. We'll have to talk a little bit about that with Sam a little bit later.
You know, let's be honest, that Seahawks line is a shell of itself without.
But that was good, Ant. That was good. Limited participant in practice. Dwayne Eskridge, which I read a report. Pete Carroll is hoping that he gets cleared tomorrow, so they may end up actually having him.
Okay.
So if that's the case, then the Madden simulation was correct, Ant. They had Dwayne Eskridge playing. They would be accurate.
Maybe Madden knows.
My gosh, if Madden knows, that means we're getting a 19-7 victory for the 49ers.
I just want you to know that Eskridge is one Jimmy Ward hit away from being out again.
Back on that list.
Eskridge is super fast, super athletic, got a lot of potential, but this guy is small. I mean, these guys, we can body him up. I mean, we can get physical with him. I am curious about his speed, though, because, I mean, luckily, though, the 49ers played against speed right against Philly.
True.
So they're used to going against those quick receivers, and he's not Devontae Smith or any of those guys. The problem is you have to pay so much attention to DK and Lockett that you're going to have situations where you could have this guy singled up. And if he's the guy running deep down the seam, I have some questions. So that would be a big get for Seattle.
Absolutely. It would be a huge get for them. Poona Ford, ankle, shoulder. Benson, Mayowa, neck. DK Metcalf on the limited list with a foot. I don't know if that means anything. No. I imagine they're just taking care of him. And then D-end Alton Robinson with a knee. Full participations in practice. There's Dwayne Brown, who was just on a rest day. Gabe Jackson on a rest day. Brian Moan, who had an elbow stuff. DJ Reed was dealing with the calf the day before. The surprise, Harry Hyder. Looks like he's going to be off the concussion list. He's going to be good to go for this weekend.
Okay, I like it. Let's see Kerry Hyder. Kerry Hyder against Mike McGlinchey could be the battle that we're looking for. That could be an exciting thing to watch. Don't put him against Trent Williams because he'll get absolutely owned.
Yes.
And I like Kerry Hyder. I want to see that, that guy done that way. But against McGlinchey, it'll be an interesting matchup. Now, if the 49ers are able to run the football consistently, Kerry Hyder's going to find himself on the ground a lot against Mike McGlinchey. But if they have to drop back and throw the ball consistently, Kerry Hyder's got a shot. He's a good pass rusher. I actually really like that guy. So that'll be a fun matchup to watch, and I'm glad he's healthy and getting over the concussion protocol. I never like to see guys, especially concussion protocol. It's just not a good thing. I want these guys to be healthy.
Correct. And Kerry Hyder, that's always been the issue when he's been away from Chris Kasarik, is he'll have great years with Chris and then he'll get somewhere else, or Chris will leave and go somewhere else, and Kerry Hyder will be doing his thing and then get hurt and miss time. And it's like, dude, what the heck? It just kind of sucks. I'm glad he's okay. It looks like he's not going to miss any time, which is good for Seattle. It's good for Kerry Hyder, and as a guy who appreciates everything he did for this team last year, and just everything that he's done, with Chris Kasarik as a football fan, you like to see that. And I wish him nothing but the best. But from player updates, and
except for this week,
ideally don't play well and let McGlinchey pancake you 12 times. Just saying, that would be cool for us. But from player updates, we got to talk about what McDaniels and what Demeco Ryans were talking about with this 49ers team, and just, with what they've been seeing. There was a comments from Jimmy, there was a comments from George, and there was a comments from Kyle about the Niners offense starting off slow and them seeing things and seeing things that were different and unique and things they had never seen before that were making the run game kind of hard. And we watched that All-22 film, and we saw times where Alex Mack and Brunskill and Tomlinson and just guys were getting beat in ways that we typically don't see them get beat, and getting beat very easily. You don't usually see it on film the way it was happening. And the fronts comment by Jimmy Garoppolo and the fronts comment by George Kittle, and that they were seeing fronts and things that they had never seen before, that they were not prepared for, and that Kyle has talked about not being prepared for. It's different. A 6-1. What NFL defense comes out and runs a 6-1, Ant?
Not very many. No, I mean, they just don't. And you're right, it was an adjustment. And I think even the way that these guys adjusted, when you watch film, you will get an idea of how a defensive player plays, right? You have an idea of what their moves are on, run
what the scheme is. When he's lined up here, he wants to do this. When he's short side of the field and he's here, he's going to do that.
Right. And also what pass moves they put with it. If they're a guy that likes to fight across your face and run plays, or if he likes to try to attack around the outside. I think Green Bay changed all the tendencies. I think they came into that game and completely changed the tendencies, and they got the offensive line off point. Now, the actual scheme of the defense did a very good job of confusing the 49ers early on. They took away the outside, run plays that they wanted to run. Now, the 49ers schemed it up so that way they would still be able to block it on the edge. However, then it left situations where you had Alex Mack one-on-one interior. Then they did something against tendency and beat him. So Alex Mack was getting beat on those situations. I don't think they were initially supposed to be one-on-one, but because of the defensive set that Green Bay was presenting, they had to adjust their blocking. And because they had to adjust those blocking, it left other weaknesses, that were unveiled. So it is something that they're going to address. They're going to change the formations. They're going to change how they approach it, which they did in the third quarter of that football game. Second half adjustments were fantastic by San Francisco, especially on the offensive end. So this is something they're going to be able to address and get after. But they're all saying the same thing, right? That they recognize that there's some differences in how people are approaching and attacking. And it's as simple as this. You take one person out of a room and you put them somewhere else, and all of a sudden they're able to share your secrets of what is going on, and people can get you for a little bit. The problem is just because you know what I do on a daily basis is only good once, right? If you know my offensive scheme, it's good the first time you play me, maybe even a half. But after that, because you think you know what I can do, now I can attack you in a big way. So now that people think they know how to attack Kyle Shanahan, he will be ready for this and capable, but they're going to consistently have to prepare. And I think Mike McDaniel even said that. Since 2018, they've been seeing different stuff. You're going to have to consistently be prepared for everything because teams know how successful Kyle Shanahan's run game is, and they're going to have to throw everything at him, including the kitchen sink.
Correct. He said that exact quote, and we've been dealing with going against uncharted looks since 2018 in the run game. We don't expect that to change anytime soon.
No.
And he talked about it earlier because the question was, why has it been difficult to get the run game going? And I loved McDaniel's initial comment to that, which was, that's a loaded question because running the football is a team effort. And it goes to exactly what you just said. It's everybody being able to do your job. Everyone's got, responsibility. And that's also based on tendency and what they're showing you.
Yep.
So when those things change, it becomes really hard to execute and do your job because you're trying to figure out what am I actually going against? What am I actually seeing here? And what am I facing? And all of those things play into it. But McDaniel's also had some very interesting comments on Trey Sermon. We've been saying this, and I've really felt this way. When Elijah Mitchell made the jump up from one preseason game being the fourth running back and a guy that was fighting for a roster spot to RB1 when Raheem Mostert went down, I was like, dude, they must really not like Trey Sermon. Mike McDaniels didn't say no. He didn't say no, Ant.
No, the way he approached it and the way he phrased it was like he hasn't played a lot of tackle football. Yes, McDaniel's an interesting cat in the way he speaks.
Correct.
But he's basically saying this guy doesn't have enough experience. That's honestly what he's saying. He doesn't have experience. He's not able to do the things that they want him to do. And we heard Kyle kind of talk about this a little bit and other guys. It was on the broadcast. I'm sorry. Chris Collinsworth let us in on this. I don't want to speak for Kyle. So it was Chris Collinsworth. And he said that they want Trey Sermon to be a one cut and go guy. They want him to be that, and he's not right now. So it's got to be one of those things where they're expecting Bobby Turner to turn this guy around, and so far he hasn't picked up on it. It is an art form. You have to learn how to do it. Some guys can never do it. But to be a scheme fit in this system, you have to do that, and that's what Elijah Mitchell is. So, yeah, I don't think they're happy with Trey Sermon. There was a lot of questions about him coming out of the draft, just why he was going to be in the system. Because the way the 49ers run offense, it didn't make a lot of sense initially. We thought there was going to be a huge change in the way that they handled offense and go to a vertical run game with Aaron Banks inside, Jalen Moore inside, and then Trey Sermon. We have seen none of that so far. You see when he finds a crease, he's able to create and get down the field. The problem is locating that crease early on is a struggle. The vision is not there on the outside zone plays. When he's going straight forward, jump cut, get to his hole, he can do it. But yeah, there's some weaknesses in his game, and they're alluding to that here, and things he still needs to clean up. But the fact that he's talking about his experience, that should make everyone a little bit nervous.
Makes me nervous. I read that quote and was like, what is he trying to say? What are you saying? And then he even had a comment later. He had as deliberate of a week practicing as anybody. I'm just like, what? McDaniels, I get it. You're quirky. What do you mean by deliberate?
To me, it sounds like he's just going through the motions. That's what it sounds like to me. Like he's just doing it. Oh, this is how I have to do it. I'm going to do this. Deliberate, just getting enough done.
Man, that's bad. It's not good.
No, and I mean, I'm not saying that's 100% what he's saying, like that he's trying to, but that's how I
it sounds.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily take it exactly that way, but when I heard deliberate, I meant like I was thinking in my head, just matter of fact, right? It was deliberate. We could probably did what he was supposed to do. But when you're a coach that's depleted at the running back room, you're not looking for a running back who can just do what he's supposed to do. Especially when you drafted this guy with the third round pick.
Well, think about how he talks about everyone else, right? Oh, Elijah's doing this, Elijah's doing that. Oh, Raheem this and that.
Demeco
Hasty. Oh, he's doing this.
Jeff Wilson.
Trey Sermon. Deliberate.
Not good. That's not what you're looking. That's not what you're wanting to hear from your offensive coordinator about. The running back who's supposed to be leading the backfield right now.
It's definitely not resounding affirmation. I'll tell you that much.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, we've thought for a while that Trey Sermon was going to be a little bit of a project. And he looks like he's going to be a lot of a project.
You mean we were 100,000% accurate on our initial take on this?
Yeah. And we even let people sway us a little bit, and we listened to other people, and we tried to take it in, right?
We legitimately thought, okay, you know what? It seems like a lot of other people are seeing this thing in Trey Sermon that we're not. So maybe we've just been overcritical.
Maybe
right?
we're wrong.
We've been looking at these few factors of Trey Sermon's game and taking that and letting that, shed any potentiality of what he could be in the system. You know what? Maybe we've been too hard. Everyone else seems to see something that we're not. Let's try and come around on this. Let's try and come around on Trey Sermon. It's pretty much done. I'm pretty much done trying to come around on Trey Sermon right now.
He's a project.
Yes.
I mean, he really is. I think there's potential still for him, and I think
but it's a few years down the road.
I think it's a couple. Yeah, I do. I think there's a lot of things that need to develop, but you see the things that they like.
There's
right?
glimpses. There are glimpses.
He still has to learn how to catch the football a lot better, and his vision inside is good, but the vision on the outside not so much. So some of that stuff needs to go. And the parts of football that he's talking about that he still needs to learn is just like on that screen pass. Not getting to where he's supposed to get. Being a little
laboring to get there. It was the same thing on the protection too on another play that was I think it was
Rashawn Gary came inside.
It was supposed to be a screen to use check, right? They'll play action, slip screen action for use check on the outside to the left, and Rashawn Gary flies off of it off the edge, and Trey Sermon's just like, I'm gonna take my fake. I'm gonna settle in front. I'm gonna read my A gap responsibility. I'm gonna read my B gap. Oh, there's a guy coming. See. You got to be quick, man. Yeah, you got to get through and eyes. Yeah. You have to see the A gap. You have to see the B gap. You need to see them all at the same time and react.
Well, he should have been able to react. He's standing right there next to Jimmy Garoppolo,
and he's play faking into where the pressure.
Well, and 100%, he knows right that there's an extra rusher. There's a rusher they can't account for.
Yes.
Abandon the play fake and go get it if that's what you need to do.
And don't even settle. He settles. He play fakes and settles in front of Jimmy instead of just going.
On our all 22, that was my biggest complaint is that he settled in front of him.
Yeah.
Because that is something that he definitely did. He ran the play fake, and like you said, he should have avoided the play fake 100%. He should have avoided
here's this dude coming free off the edge. Just probably should get that.
You just go get him. And if you go to him, he doesn't get to Jimmy Garoppolo.
He doesn't get a hand on him. Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, he's not. I mean, but he's a rookie, right? I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. We're expecting so much out of rookies right now. And it's like these guys with a talented roster like this, these guys should not be thrust into playing time and expected to make big time plays. He's a 3rd round pick. Like, I don't ever want to feel too critical on him because I think that he should have time to improve. He is who I thought he was. He is who you thought he was.
Fair.
And I think we all think he can be something.
It just needs time.
Yeah, I mean, are you expecting everyone else to get hurt? I know I wasn't.
I literally wasn't expecting us to be at the point now where Trey Sermon was our only running back from the guys that we started with. If someone had told me, hey guys, look, you're going to have this incredible running back room and literally all but Trey Sermon's going to go down, I'd be like, huh?
Yeah.
Can we keep Wayne Gallman? Can we keep him around, please?
Well, the good news is Jeff Wilson is within shouting distance.
He is within shouting distance, but man, really, you're gonna tear your knee up getting up from a chair. Are the football gods that cruel? And
I don't know.
They that cruel?
I mean, unfortunately, I see something like that could happen in my future. I'll tell you that.
I mean, I can see it happening to me, but it should happen to me. I'm a nobody. I'm not a professional athlete.
Jeff Wilson's also pushing his body to the limit to try to.
That's true.
I mean, think about it. He's on a 1-year deal. You know what? Comes next year? Big money if he has a big season.
It's true.
So he's pushing himself to the limit, and something goes wrong. Your body will betray you at some point. It's inevitable.
You mean father time always wins?
Yeah, there's a reason why everyone wakes up in the morning and when it's raining and has sore knees. When you get to our age, that is what happens.
Accurate, Ant. Very accurate indeed. It sucks. It is what it is, though. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
The last comment of McDaniel's that I loved was him talking about George Kittle, and he tried to attribute the quote to John Wooden, but then also stated, you're not going to quote me on this, right? Because I don't know if he actually said it or not. And you know what? If John Wooden didn't say it, he should have said it. And if he didn't say it, then congratulations there, Mr. McDaniels. You got yourself a quote of absolute greatness. He says about George Kittle, and this is part of the reason why they protect him from himself and why he is the way he is. He has what we'd like to call competitive greatness, which is defined as being your best when your best is required and being your greatest when your greatest is required. That is exactly what George Kittle is, because he can go 3.5, 4 quarters without touching the football, being great in the run game and doing all the things you need him to, being a pass protector, right? A pass pro guy. And then when his number is called and it's time for him to step up in a big way, he has the big catch in the fourth quarter like he did against the Green Bay Packers and puts you in position to win a football game. That's what George Kittle has done the entirety of his career in San Francisco. This is why they're trying to protect this guy from himself at practices, right? Keeping him off the field when they can. And it's why he's not necessary to always be involved heavily so much in the pass game. You know that when you need to call on him, you can, and he will arise. He will rise like a phoenix from the ashes and be there at your time of need when you need him to, executing at the highest of levels.
Yeah, I like the quote. I think it's pretty indicative of who George Kittle is, the effort that he puts out. But that's the thing, is preparation. When you prepare the way that George Kittle prepares, then you get on the field and you reap those rewards. If he didn't prepare like a madman, then he wouldn't be as successful on the football field. So a lot of that greatness and showing up at the right moment is preparedness, and he was definitely prepared. And he always is, and that's what you got to like about him. But he does give the 49ers an edge. That edge that he has is very important. And we got a new subscriber.
Philip Chewy.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Cutback crew, my guy. Chalk another one up for the good guys, Ant.
Yeah, 100%. And so I think that is a cool quote by Mike McDaniel, and also a glimpse into the 49ers, because this is a leader of this football team. And George Kittle leads by example, and so other players are going to see this, and they're going to do the same things. They're going to want to step up when their number's called. They're going to want to grow to greatness. And Jimmy Garoppolo had some nice quotes about Deebo Samuel this week.
I like that. Grow to greatness.
Grow to greatness.
That's wonderful, right?
He has some nice quotes about Deebo Samuel, becoming a leader this year. So Deebo's taking that next step and taking charge of that wide receiver room. And I like to see it. And I mean, he's showing out on the field as well. He's had 3 very good football games and sitting right there, second overall in receiving yards in the NFL, just behind Cooper Kupp. So he's doing his thing.
He is doing his thing, and he needs to continue doing his thing because this 49ers offense loves it, and we needs it right now. Demeco Ryans had some very insightful comments, too, about the defense and just what's been going on and what's been going wrong. Demeco Ryans feels like the problems, especially on that last drive of the Packers, and it's something we talked about. It's just technique.
Yeah, it is. 100% is technique. He talked about the linebackers not being back far enough like they should, recognizing the situation. He also talked about, he's talking about players being bad technique, and what he's really talking about is Deommodore Lenoir playing too far off, and also Talanoa Hufanga. I mean, that's the one mistake that we talked about with the personnel, is the fact Hufanga and Lenoir are on the same side of the field against Davante Adams. That is a major mismatch, and if you're going to have both of them on there, at least have Deommodore Lenoir coming up and playing some sort of closer coverage.
Have him play press, force him to the sideline, or force him on the interior, especially if you're running that cover 4. They were running a cover 4 shell. So have him play press, play outside shoulder, force him inside to where your safety help and your linebacker help is.
Well, they're running an interesting coverage because they have man underneath, right? They have Jimmy Ward manned up on
They had Jimmy Ward manned up. I think it was on
Tanyan. They had Fred Warner on Aaron Jones, and they ran a little bit of a crossing pattern.
They ran crossers across, and those are Rodgers' 2 checkdowns. Those are his 2 options that he can go to. Those guys can catch the ball in space a little bit shorter, get out of bounds, and give them one more play to potentially get into field goal range. That's why they ran that set in that formation. If you don't have Davante Adams on this, deep in route essentially against this cover. Well, it was basically cover 1 with safeties behind.
It's man too. It's too deep. It's too deep, man.
Too deep, man.
The problem with it is that Deommodore Lenoir doesn't play it right.
No, he's outside and about 12 yards off.
Yeah, he's supposed to be outside. The problem is
12 yards off.
Not supposed to be playing 12 yards off because all they need is a field goal.
And he's keeping, and that's the thing, is he keeps on that play. He keeps that 12 yards of separation. That 12 yards doesn't become 5 or 4.
Yeah.
It stays 10 to 12. and so there's just too much room for Devontae Adams in space.
Yeah, playing outside is the right technique. You want to not allow Devontae Adams to catch the ball and get out of bounds. That's number one. You tackle him in bounds, you have an opportunity for the clock to run out. The problem is he's funneling him inside to Hufanga, and Hufanga's backpedaling as well. Why is he backpedaling? Like, no, you got to be up there. You got to take this guy away. Both those guys should have made Hufanga and Lenore should have made Devontae Adams beat him deep. They should have made him have to go over the top for a touchdown to, get it done. And I think that if they would have done that, Aaron Rodgers wouldn't have thrown the football. But they played it bad, and unfortunately, I think that is the mistake, having those two guys out there. They're just two young guys that don't understand the situation compared to some of the other guys. But I get it. You wanted Tart and Ward one-on-one. This is what I talked about. If they have Josh Norman, this situation doesn't come up.
No, this doesn't happen at all, and you have an entirely different outcome from that game.
Yeah,
from that football game, if Josh Norman is healthy and out there. And it's a different situation as well if Jason Verrett's still healthy and out there. It's just unfortunate. You're putting young guys in situations in which they have to try and make plays and learn and pick it up, and they're not there yet. This is why a lot of people are like, I don't understand why Demo, he's earned the right to start. He's played well for a rookie. Absolutely, 100% yes. But in key moments and key situations where you need a guy to just know how to play it, right? Know what to allow, what we can give up, what we can afford, and what risks you need to be willing to take and what risks you need to force the offense into taking. This is one of those situations. You got to be able to execute and do what you need to do. Not there yet.
Yeah, there's another big third down in that game where Demo's running press coverage, and he has
safety help over the top.
Over the top, and he goes up with his press, and he hits him with the inside hand, forcing him to the outside. No, you're supposed to hit him with this hand and force him inside. It's bad technique, and because of that, Devontae Adams converts on a third down, and it's a huge play. And then you see Tart go up to him like, dude, what are you doing? And those are the situations, and unfortunately, you know what happens? They pull Deommodore Lenore off the field, and Dante Johnson goes in, and Dante Johnson gets beat. So that's just what happens.
It's just unfortunate. It's not a great thing. It's not a wonderful thing. It's awful. But it is what it is. They're going to clean these things up. He can only learn from this experience. If he doesn't learn from it, we got serious problems. If he learns from it,
he'll learn.
It is what it is, right? And here's the best news. It shouldn't happen again. It won't. If Demo gets beat again, he won't get beat the same way. And that's something he has shown. He has shown that. So that's a positive thing in this situation. And for the 49ers, you just wish it didn't, it wasn't a situation where you end up with a loss and there was a couple plays he could have made that could have changed that. Not on him. It's never on one guy. There's a host of plays that could have gone differently for the 49ers that could have changed the tide of this football game, including Talanoa, Hufanga, and DJ being inches away from blocked field goals that would have completely swung this outcome of this game. Demeco Ryans also went on to talk about something that we noticed a lot in the All-22 film, which is the chipping on Nick Bosa is getting to outrageous levels. And these are no longer chips. These are crackback blocks. These are blocks in the back. Alan Lazard at one point in time, as Nick Bosa is blowing by the tackle, is shoving Nick Bosa to the ground in the back. Turning, full see the back of his jersey, hands on Nick Bosa's back, pushing him down in space. Demeco Ryans brought this up a little bit. He said when you have a great rusher like Bosa, teams, they have to find a way to handle him, and that's what teams have been doing. They've been chipping him a lot. He's garnered a lot of attention, but he talked about them being violent chips. These are violent chip blocks. These aren't normal chip blocks, and someone's definitely going to have to do something about that. Someone needs to be helping him out and getting him some calls out there.
Yes, these are a lot of these are illegal. First off, when you're not inside the box, you're not in that free blocking zone, you're not allowed to hit him in the back, number one. And he's consistently getting hit in the back. And we saw the penalty that happened against Mohamed Sanu, where Sanu came inside for a crackback block, which wasn't a whole lot, and he hit a linebacker, and they called it. This is way worse. Like, these ones are very bad, and Nick Bosa's getting completely obliterated because he doesn't see them coming from a blind spot.
They're coming from a lot of these teams are doing now. They're not just having a tight end line up in the slot just off the tackle and crash down. They have a tight end that's slotted out about 5 yards off, and they're motioning an outside receiver inside to the slot at the last second and then crashing down on Bosa.
Yeah,
how is it not a crackback?
There's literally the definition of a crackback block. The NFL is gonna have to start calling this because I thought they're all about protecting their players. And this is a defenseless player. He can't see this hit coming. So they got to do something about it. I don't know if they're going to, but Nick Bosa is a face of a franchise and a face of defense, so maybe they will. This is definitely something that I guarantee the front office is putting out there.
Is Nick Bosa going to have his Aaron Donald moment where he rips his helmet off, gets tossed from a game, spikes it down, and just rips into an official before the NFL takes notice? Is it going to have to come to that?
Probably not. He's not that kind of player. He's a player. He's about getting it done, doing his job. But they're going to have to find creative ways, whether that is stunting him inside, whether that is lining him up inside. Maybe they line him upside and they put Samson Ebukam outside, or put him inside and put D Ford outside for a while. Adjusting these guys, could make a big difference. And you could also start moving Nick Bosa around. Instead of, I know he wants to be in a 3-point stance, but maybe you move him in a 2-point stance and move him around a little bit. It's going to be interesting how they handle it, but the NFL needs to do something about it, because if they start doing it with Nick Bosa and it's successful, they'll start doing it with other players as well.
Correct, and it's going to have to be the case. Last but not least on the docket, Steve Young decided to weigh in on the 49ers situation, both with the defense and with the quarterback play on the offense. Let's start with the quarterback play. Seeing as Steve was a quarterback, I feel like this man is got a little bit of PTSD going on right now when it comes to the quarterback situation there and what Trey Lance is dealing with. He had some interesting comments about Jimmy and basically said that Jimmy needs to graduate to throwing the 49ers through a lack of a run game. Ant, did Jimmy Garoppolo not throw the 49ers through a lack of a run game?
He did a pretty good job in this football game. They scored 4 touchdowns in a 32-minute span. That is impressive for any NFL football team.
2 of them were him throwing.
Yeah.
1 of them was Trey Lance running it in, but let's be honest, that was a 3rd touchdown. He threw the ball in a 4-man tight window to Brandon Ayuk that hit him square in the hands that he dropped. Ideally, realistically, Jimmy Garoppolo threw 3 tutties.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's not throwing a team through a lack of a run game.
I mean, overall, I thought Jimmy did a good enough job. I don't think it was elite. I don't think it was great. I don't think he was over the moon. But I think he did enough to win the football game and enough for the 49ers to win. I don't like the way that he termed this graduate, because even Steve Young will admit without Ricky Waters, he wasn't the same quarterback. So sometimes it's hard to remember those moments when you had a running game and you had running backs, and when you didn't, how much you struggled. Now, Steve was a tremendous quarterback. He knows a lot about quarterbacking. But I think it irritates me a little bit when the legends come out and start criticizing current rosters. They've done it for years, and I wish that sometimes they would just kind of let it go. I know he's an analyst and that's what he's supposed to do, but let Jimmy do his thing. I mean, right now it's 3 games in the season. I remember 1994 when Steve Young was struggling early in the season and getting absolutely demolished by Philadelphia. So these things happen. It's growing pains. Does he need to graduate? Absolutely not. He's an NFL quarterback and been a very successful NFL quarterback. There's no graduating that needs to come here. It's just time for people to kind of recognize what he is. And he's a good quarterback that has some elite skills, and then some things that just go haywire and don't work out well for him. But he's a very serviceable quarterback.
He can get it done. He's gotten it done before. He continues to get it done. It's kind of crazy to me, some of the flack that he does take. There are things to actually be legitimately critical about. People aren't critical about those things, though. That's not what people focus on with the criticisms. It's nonsensical things that have nothing to do with his quarterback play and has everything to do with you wanting Trey Lance on the field. You can have both things. You can want Trey Lance to be on the field and want Trey Lance to succeed, and also acknowledge the things that Jimmy does well and the things that Jimmy doesn't do well. One of those things that he hasn't done well is throw outside the numbers. But what you can't criticize Jimmy for right now is not throwing the ball outside when deep shots aren't being called. And I see a lot of people talking about how Jimmy doesn't throw the ball deep. That's why Kyle's not calling deep shots. That's not an excuse.
Could be.
But it's not an excuse.
I mean, if Kyle's not calling it because he doesn't think Jimmy can be successful on him, that is a legitimate.
It is a legitimate point. But the criticism now needs to fall on Kyle Shanahan, because you as a coach need to find ways to get the thing that you need to get done in order for the offense to have success. And if you're too afraid to call those things because you don't trust the guy in the middle, time to make a change.
Well, that's what people are saying, that he can't really stretch the field. So you need to go to Trey Lance. I mean, that is the overall argument.
Haven't given him a chance to stretch the field, though. So until it happens, until you give him those opportunities and they consistently result in dropped passes, right? Completely incomplete throws, completely off, or it results in a ton of picks, and I'm talking badly thrown picks.
Well, I don't
not Jair Alexander running from halfway across the field.
I don't even think that's the entire argument anyways, because we don't even know if Trey Lance can operate in the zones that Trey Lance needs to.
That's also
so just
true.
Because Trey Lance can stretch the field doesn't mean he can operate the intermediate game that Kyle Shanahan needs in his offense. So would you be exchanging A for A? You're getting the same sort of thing, and yet one quarterback understands the offense inside and out and the other one doesn't yet. there is that aspect to it.
And Trey has shown he'll struggle intermediate, and he'll struggle to find his reads in the short side of the field.
Oh, yeah.
He takes a long time sometimes to diagnose and figure out where he's supposed to go with the football.
100%. I mean, if Kyle Shanahan believed that Trey Lance gave him the best opportunity to win right now, Trey Lance would be out there playing right now. I mean, that's just the way it is. I think sometimes we get enamored with the long ball. It's something that we all like and we all want to see. We loved it when Joe went deep to Jerry or Steve went deep to Jerry. Those were big time plays. And Jimmy doesn't dial those up very much, whether that is because Kyle's protecting Jimmy or if Jimmy's not able to do that, or maybe Kyle doesn't want those in the plan right now. That's not what he's looking for. No matter what that is, that doesn't matter. I mean, what it means is they got to take advantage of the things that they can take advantage of, and they got to win the football game. But yeah, I think there's an interesting conversation there, and I think that there was this conversation going on, in the 1980s, the late 1980s, surrounding Steve Young and Joe Montana. The only difference was Joe Montana was one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and Jimmy's definitely not in that category. And Steve Young was an upstart, with the same sort of things that Trey Lance has. So I'm sure he does see some of himself in Trey Lance and knows what it feels like to be that guy there. But the one thing I will say is that they're different players overall. I mean, even though they have the similar traits, they are different overall because Trey has proven already that he can perform in the pocket, where Steve initially in the NFL, he had to get outside the pocket every single play. So there is some differences there.
Definitely. And he also had to talk about the D-line and how this D-line, this defense isn't the same as it was a few years ago. Steve, I love you, man, but no duh. No duh. The amount of injuries this defense has had so far this year at key positions, the linebacking core, with your corners on the outside, how could it possibly be the same as it was before? And this is despite the fact that you're getting more holdings on this D-line than ever before. There's a lot of pressure on this D-line. Teams are max protecting and doing very unique things to disrupt the D-line, the pass rush, including Aaron Rodgers deciding that he was going to throw over 20 passes, in under 3 seconds, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Despite that, through 3 games so far, the 49ers still are averaging 2 sacks a game. 2 sacks a game. They averaged 3 in 2019. So you had a very odd week 3 in which we expected the 49ers, or week 2, in which we expected the 49ers defense to get torched and they stepped up and studded up. And then you had an extremely odd week 3 in which Aaron Rodgers wasn't holding on to the ball long enough to say Aaron Rodgers, to even, get his name out on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Collins was going, and Aaron Rodgers, he's already thrown the football. That's crazy. He was just getting rid of the ball that quick. So what this D-line is right now, I'm not as concerned with. As the year goes on, these guys are going to continue to get better. Bosa is still coming off of an entire year in 2020 where he hadn't played, right? He just hadn't played. Samson Ebukam is adjusting to being a down defensive end, like not playing, a linebacking role. And even at times right now, they've utilized him on the interior with the gold rush when they go that full, speed package on the interior.
Yeah. I think I just want to take a wait and see approach. We're 3 games in the season, and I remember the 2019 season pretty well. And the 49ers got a lot of sacks against Cleveland and against Carolina that really racked up and changed their numbers. So, I mean, you just got to let it happen, right? They played Jameis in week 1 that year, and they had a lot of opportunities to get sacks because he holds on to the football. This is a little bit of a different animal. They've played Jalen Hurts, who's a very mobile quarterback, and they also they had success against Goff, and then they played Aaron Rodgers getting rid of the ball really quick. I don't think we can really look at it and say, and it's not apples to apples. So let's just take it, let some time happen, let this thing go through. Let's see how this defense ultimately shakes out, because if they hit their groove, the numbers can rise up really quick.
It's true.
Armstead is still producing, a lot of hurries, and they're having success that way. So I definitely can't judge it yet. I think that, Steve is right and entitled to have his opinion.
Absolutely.
And to put that out there right now. But I'm not ready to do that. After 3 games, to me, 3 games is a small sample size.
You mean it's an overreaction if you start assuming one thing or another about the team?
I mean, usually. Yeah. But that's what we all do, right? We have that moment after the game where we all analyze what happened in that game and we have a reaction. It's unfortunate that, the reactions have made us go up and down because of the situations of the game. But I think, once we get a little bit farther in the season, halfway through the year, this full team will reveal itself, and then we'll have, accurate thoughts. And, some people that maybe had instant reactions that we haven't agreed with, maybe they'll be right, or maybe, it'll be relaxed and, what? You guys were right. Like, it's okay. Both things can be possible. Both things can happen, but it is a wait and see approach. Whenever it comes to football, 3 games is a small sample size.
It is. It's entirely small. It's tiny. It's not a great perception of what a team is, because the teams that you play matter. because maybe you have to play outside of your comfort zone or do things that maybe you don't necessarily want to do. And that can be personnel reasons. It can be the opponent you're facing, their scheme. It can shift and change the way things operate and the way things move about with your group. What we can't focus on is we got a big matchup this week, right? We got Seattle. This is a conference game. This is a rivalry game. This is a heated game. This is a strong dislike between fan bases. The 12 and the faithful, they don't like each other. And you know what? That's A-okay. The 49ers are coming for blood. Hypothetical blood, and Seattle is trying to stave off a 1-3 start and being in the doghouse in the NFC West. Really playing from behind the 8 ball. This game is going to be heated. It's going to be competitive. The fireworks are going to be on full display, and Levi's is going to be rocking.
Yeah, the 49ers need to win this because anytime you have an opportunity to put somebody down early in the season and really make it tough for them to dig out of this hole, you do it. I mean, right now, you've got, Seattle sitting there, they're AJ Styles, and they're sitting there in front of the grave, and Undertaker rises up behind them. That's the 49ers, and they have the opportunity to put him in that grave. It doesn't mean they can't get out, but it means it's going to be a lot harder. They're going to be 6 foot down in this NFC West, and that's going to be a hard, grave to dig out of. So I think this is an opportunity for the 49ers and something this rivalry needs. We need the 49ers to take, that mantle and take that top spot in this rivalry. And I think it would change things a little bit this season. And it changed perceptions of people as well. So I'm looking forward to it, but the Niners need to get it done. This is a big-time game for them.
Handle it, San Francisco. We got faith in you. We believe in you. TCC, let us know what you think about all this down below in the comment section. You worried about Kittle? You worried about Norman? You worried about Elijah Mitchell? We understand. Do Mike McDaniel's comments about Trey Sermon scare the living crud out of you and the bejesus out of you? We understand. Let us know about it down there. And while you're commenting away, don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Become the newest member of the Cutback crew like Philip down there did. Don't miss out on videos either. Hit that notification bell.
Yeah, welcome everyone to the Cutback crew that has been subscribing recently. We appreciate it. Always leave your comments. If you have questions, leave those. We'll interact with you. It'll be fun. And your perspectives are always welcome. Even if they're, very much differing from us, that's okay.
Sure.
You're entitled to those. Make sure they're thought out, though, and make sure it's a good argument so we can have a nice conversation about it. If you're just yelling at that mean ocean, we probably won't respond because, emotion is one thing, but actual getting into it is the most important thing. So let's have that good conversation, come with that correct stuff, and it'll be good.
Insightful. That's what we do here. We try and be insightful. Emotions can have their stay and have their play, right? It can fire up and take the conversation to new heights and new levels. But if emotion is driving the things that you're saying and the things that you're thinking, most of the time you're going to miss out on a lot of things, and you're just going to spout the same thing over and over again, and then you're not having a conversation, you're shouting everyone else down. We don't want that. We want to converse with you. We want to discuss these things with you. We want to be insightful, as insightful as we possibly can be, because just like you, we're fans. So that's what we're trying to do. We appreciate all the support. We love everything that you guys are bringing to the table. And until the next one, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.